Hello disc golf fans, we are back for round 3 of the PDGA World Championships here in Emporia, Kansas. This is Jomez Productions. I'm Steve Hill, alongside me is Nate Sexton. We're moving to the Emporia Country Club today, where the course is long and the winds are kicking, Nate, and it's going to be a bit of a slog today.
Yeah, it's a real hot day, a lot of wind. Looks like Germ went on a solo career, but we still got McBeasy and the Flat Bill boys. They're going to be just fine.
And we'll catch up with them before the round.
I'm feeling pretty calm, it's like I've been playing pretty well this year, so it's been a lead up for this, and I've been preparing myself pretty well, so the nerves are a little there, but I think after the first couple of holes they'll be gone.
It's the first round at Country Club, so it's really just get a good score out there, stay in bounds, that's how it is at every course, not giving away strokes, so stay in bounds. It's going to be windy, so just controlling the driver really. If you can make a putt, you get a few birdies, but controlling that driver is key today.
Approach is just play my game plan. If I play my game plan, nothing else matters. It's up to me whether I play good or not. So, that's all that matters to my mind. If I play well, that's all that matters to me, and I'm going to have success if I do that.
And as we check out hole 1 here, nice little easy downhill shot to start, right?
I don't know if I'd say that. There's
Not
a lot
too
of
easy?
out of bounds, as you saw in that forecast. 17-mile-an-hour winds. You can see all that long grass on the right OB, path OB, water OB, 555 feet. Big hyzers, probably the play from most of these guys. If you're looking for a 3, you can go up the middle.
Well, I take it back then. You do not make it sound too easy. Maybe it's just a matter of seeing what these guys have done at a place like the GBO in the past. I'm sure we've seen them throw a lot here. As we see Ricky step up to start the day, he is dialed in the whole tournament. He's had hot rounds both days.
There's that big hyzer line.
He was testing the OB line there a little bit. Looks like he left it a little bit. Looks like maybe he sawed it off just slightly.
Probably a little bit conservative. The mistake you're scared of making on this shot is just hanging it out over that hole 2 tee pad tent and staying OB right. So I think you might see a lot of these guys kind of cut the shot off a little bit just to make sure it gets down in the wind.
And Nikko's going to hang out there right like you were talking about. And it looks like he catches that tree. He's going to end up quite a bit short of the pin there.
Inbounds, though.
As you can see, the wind is starting to rip just from the beginning here.
And the wind, it feels like if you plugged in a hairdryer and just sort of blew it in your face. Like 97 degrees in Kansas, heavy winds. It's not like a relief to have that nice wind. It's not cold at all.
Yeah, it's a blast furnace. It is definitely not enjoyable for these guys out there today. We'll see what McBeth has on tap here. He gets his up a little higher than Nikko's, it looks like, so he's able to miss that tree. He's going to be right under that bush.
Yeah, that could be a little bit of a tricky stance, but he's pretty close to the basket.
Devan Owens is going to come out after shooting well yesterday. Oklahoma native, should have some experience navigating some wind like this. Also a little bit interesting, he's the lone lefty on the card today.
Yeah, I think this hole plays a little tougher for a lefty. We'll see how Devan attacks it.
And he does have a forehand. We'll see if he goes with that, but it does look like he's taking the backhand route. Just with the straight line up the middle.
Just playing for 3 here.
Yeah, smart play to start out. Don't want to try and bite off too much right at the beginning of the round. As he said before, probably a little nerves as well, so you just want to come out there and get a clean shot to start, and that's a really smooth upshot from Nikko.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, hole 1 is certainly a bonus too in these wind conditions.
And Devan also with the easy approach there, and that's exactly where he wants to be. And same with Rick. We're all getting nice little par looks. Let's see if Paul can do something from a knee here.
Turned out to not be that bad a lie, but tough to generate that power from a knee.
Yeah, you could see him falling down at the end there. Nikko gets the putting stroke going early to take his par. Noticed throughout the rounds he's been taking a lot of time to really line up those putts and get it dialed in and make sure he's focused.
Yeah, do what you got to do. I mean, we all get our 30 seconds. Take all of it if you need it. This is the Worlds. You know, everybody should be on top of their game.
And we see a couple tap-in pars, so everyone starts out with their 3. And we're off to the races here at the Emporia Country Club. We will see what hole 2 has in store today. And this is the first par 4 on the day, Nate. What's the lay of the land here with this one? It looks like quite a bit of OB.
Yeah, it's a fairly narrow fairway. Good drives are going to get you right to those 2 trees, leaving you a fairly easy upshot. Again, though, the wind is a huge factor. You just got to get your drive into that landing zone and then kind of have a little bit of a low ceiling approach into the green.
It looks like Rick is lining up a forehand here, hanging it out left over that OB line. Just comes back right in the middle safely. Very nice, easy approach.
Yeah,
keeping
that's
it safe.
a really good spot.
Nikko gets a bit more aggressive with the big shot up the middle. Oh, and it looks like he hits another tree, but he does get the green flag to stay in bounds.
Yeah, hard to tell if that was tracking towards OB or if it was just going to be really, really far and a great drive. Either way, he should be happy with that lie.
And that's a nice smooth shot just over the ridge there. It looks like everyone's just kind of trying to play a little bit of placement here and make sure they keep it in between the lines.
Yeah, really your only choice. There's not really a play for 2 here.
Devan's able to sneak it back in there. It did look like he might hit that tree for a second. That was a fortunate break there.
Nice shot through the wind.
A little deep, but he should be all right there. Rick taking a knee to get that low ceiling that you talked about. A little bit of a skip, and he'll have a look at about 20. Let's see what Nikko's got. It looked like he may have been trying to run it there a little bit. You see him go a little bit long there on the approach.
Yeah, this is an easy hole to go long on the approach, I feel like. He generally kind of a tailwind. I've had a few times where I've let the approach kind of float on me.
And Ricky takes his first birdie of the day on hole 2 here. That's always a nice start. Is this one of the more, this is probably one of the more gettable 4s, would you say, right?
Yes.
Nikko hangs his out low, and he looks a little frustrated after that one. Devan looks like he takes the nice birdie there as well.
Good putt.
Good start for him, coming out here, getting on the lead card, working through some nerves a little bit, as we see Paul also take a birdie there. So Nikko will take the, I shouldn't say will, we do have to, we can't guarantee these putts and win like this.
Not at all.
But he cans it, takes the par. And that means Nikko takes the 1 par on the scorecard. Everyone else takes a stroke. And that's not a bad start to be -1 there. Is that something that you think is going to affect Nikko as you go if you don't get that early birdie?
No. I mean, obviously he wants to get that hole, but, you know, it's just going to sharpen his focus going forward, I think. Make sure that he focuses on those putts like we were talking about. I'm not worried about him.
Now, how about with this hole? Is this one a little bit of a tougher 4 here?
Absolutely. This is going from an easier par 4 into a much tougher. This is a very skinny green landing zone there, as you can see. Very long hole, uphill at the end with a lot of trees in the way.
And it looks like Rick's just going to shoot straight up the middle there. Similar shot to how he's played this at the Glassblown Open. He kind of takes that middle route. And we'll see if Paul goes with that same route or if he tries with that big hyzer. It looks like he does a little bit of a hyzer flip there almost.
Yeah, that just needs to get down. Ooh, close. I think looks in though.
It does look in. I think he was flirting with it there.
That's going to be an ideal lie. I mean, you wouldn't really want to test the OB that much, but now he can go around the trees pretty easily. This needs to get back. All right.
Oh, Devan, he just put a little too much power on that one. It just sailed.
I saw the other flags, and I thought that was coming back safe, but then there was even the short side of the fairway.
Nikko just puts it right down there, and he should be safe. as Devan comes back in from OB.
Keeps the disc low, but he needs no skip. Okay, good.
That tree looked like it slowed it down a little as well. Maybe give him a little help there. Nikko just mashes this huge shot with a little skip right up to the basket.
That is a great second shot. Paul pretty unobstructed over here on the left.
He needs that to settle down.
He's flirting with that
He's
OB,
just
but
getting
he's
those.
keeping
He's
it in.
getting those rolls that just keep it back in. Ricky with another pretty straight shot there.
Oh, I think that bounced off the tree.
Slowed it down a bit.
I think that may have saved a possible. That looked to me like it was stabling up, heading towards OB, but a nice
It did get a little tree kick there.
correction off the tree.
Very nice putt there from Paul, a little bit further out, contending with the wind, and he looks pretty excited to take that one early here.
Yeah, birdie in this wind, a birdie on this hole is really, really good. In calm conditions, it's a pretty amazing birdie, but especially with this wind attacking that tight green.
You see that flag just flapping pretty strongly there.
Yeah.
We've got 3 birdies there, and Devan with the OB is going to try and clean up here.
For bogey.
Yeah, so he does take one. Actually, he takes 2 compared to everyone else on this hole. So not exactly the way you want to start there after those first couple strong holes for him there. Loses a few to the card. Got to try and see how he answers here on hole 4.
Yeah.
What's the breakdown with this one? Again, I'm seeing the flags, a lot more OB.
Yeah, this is one of the easier par 3s. You're just trying to throw, as a right-handed player, a backhand with an overstable disc over the out-of-bounds sand trap, take a short skip up to the basket. Very reachable for all these guys.
And that's what it looks like Rick is lining up there.
He'll easily clear the OB with that shot.
And he does get that skip, and textbook, just like you explained it.
Yeah, that's how I would do it.
Paul hangs his a little higher. Skips deep there.
Yeah, a little bit inside. He'd like to put that a little bit wider and let that skip take him to the basket instead of away from it.
Yeah, leaves him a little bit longer there, and the longer you leave yourself for putts in this wind here, it just makes it a little more tricky. It makes those birdie opportunities a little less likely. Nikko puts his right there.
Nice shot.
Devan coming off the bogey.
He's got a similar play, hanging it out and looking for a skip, but the wind is a little bit against his disc.
And he's gonna have a longer look there. We'll see if Paul can convert here. He just misses low there. Devan sails his a little bit. Again, that wind looks like it's already starting to come into play.
Yeah, that was absolutely wind affected. But
Really
great,
nice
Great.
recovery there.
Great putt there after you sail away like that.
Yeah, it definitely came in with some authority on that one, knowing that he had to recover there and get that in there clean. Let's see if Nikko can get this birdie. And he does. Flirted a little high with the band there, but took it down.
Yeah.
Really strong start for Nikko after that initial bogey, or no, I'm sorry, at that par on hole 2 where everyone else took the birdies. He's started to pick it up a little bit.
Definitely.
He's 2 down for the round right now, and Ricky is very, very strongly out in front by 1. He's starting off to the races. That's actually 3 birdies in a row for him.
Yeah, Ricky's feeling it. I mean, anybody that's been watching these videos, Ricky is in the zone this week so far.
And we got a 659-foot par 4 here again.
OB here on the right, OB on the left with the path. The play is to throw, for a right-hander, high, flat shot, hyzering over that tree, right in the middle where we're flying right now. And then you have kind of a low ceiling tunnel shot, slightly uphill into the green. It's a nice par 4.
And Wysocki's going to be on the tee again. Goes with that low, flat shot, gets a little turn out of it, but he's right where he wants to be. Nikko again with these long run-ups that he's been playing the whole tournament.
That might have been a bit of a misrelease. That didn't look like the ideal line.
It did look like it came out a bit lower than you would like there. Oh, and Paul had a really nice drive for distance, but ends up behind that tree. Is he going to have a pretty tricky look there?
We'll see. It definitely could be a tough fly from there.
It looks like Devan's just kind of air bounced up into the tree there.
Oh.
Has a decent look here, though. Oh, he's going to take the Heiser route around there a little bit.
Aggressive shot. I think that's
It pays off. It pays off. Yeah, very nice shot there. Nikko's got a little bit more ground to cover than everyone else right now. Lasers that one. Gets a big skip.
Wow.
Still going to have a pretty long look.
But really, just to get a look from a drive back there is great. Doesn't look like Paul was impacted by the tree too much.
Again, he's just leaving himself slightly further out than you would think he wants to be. You know, it's, especially with the conditions today, you want to get those just a little closer to the basket. Just like that right there. You see the difference between where Paul and Ricky's landing zone is, and that has an effect on these putts.
Certainly closer's better.
There's a nice putt from Paul. That's going to be a birdie for him, which on these par fours is especially important on this course, to get these birdies where you can.
Yeah.
Nice putt there from Nikko as well.
Another birdie.
Rick with a relative, you don't want to call it a tap-in, but compared to where everyone else is at, he's got to love getting that close.
Played the hole perfectly.
And Devan, after hitting that first tree, is going to clean up. He'll take a par, so that'll be the lone par on the card. Not a bad get there.
Yeah, that was a risky, aggressive shot he did around the outside, so he's got to feel good executing that, making sure to get up and down.
As we get into hole 6, though, it's Ricky's taking one stroke on these guys, just patting that lead ever so slightly. And we've got a 580-foot shot here. You've got the road OB on the right. What's the play here? Do you like the Heiser routes out over the road?
Yeah, for me, 580 as a par 3. I have toed this hole before, but in this kind of wind, I'm just going to throw overstable, let it get in the fairway, and then lay up. Because it's a tough get with the road right there and all that wind blowing the disc around.
And we'll see how Ricky decides to approach it.
That's the play you're going to see from righties.
And he doesn't hang out quite too far over the road, and that's clearly a very overstable disc. Gets a long fade back in.
I'm sure,
but he's safe.
That's exactly what he's going for. I don't think he's thinking 2. Nikko, on the other hand, appears to be thinking 2.
He is trying to run the big flex shot.
Really a nice shot.
That's
probably 560 feet.
That's a crush. Paul's going to hang it out a little more over the road, little flatter.
Yeah, he's looking for a 2.
And we've seen him kind of play aggressively all week. He's really coming out, taking stronger shots, pushing the power, pushing the distance.
Yeah, that's what he does. He attacks the course every time. Most of these guys do. But Paul especially, he's a very aggressive player, always looking to push it and take the best score possible.
Devan's doesn't get quite as much fade back in there, but they're all safe here. Ricky with a little bit of a jump. Just going to lay it up there and have a safe look for a 3. See if Nikko can convert here. Wow.
Huge putt.
Great putt. That's a big confidence boost for Nikko as he takes a little jog toward the pin.
I would say less than 5 birdies in the field on this hole in these conditions.
And you see Paul there sails his a bit high, and that definitely looked like the wind was a factor there.
Yeah, wow. The wind really took that.
Which is interesting. The flag isn't ripping too hard there, but it just kind of...
But you could see the way that disc bounced after it came out of his hand, that there was certainly wind.
Devan's going to be pitching out from under this bush here. Very nice little shot.
That's to get his par?
Yes. Yeah, he'll be safe there for the par, and you gotta like being able to take that, doing a little gardening there, if you will.
Yeah, those bushes are really tough. You can throw a disc in there, get hung up, and have a very, very difficult lie.
Really nice hole from Nikko there, taking the lone birdie, and that'll tie him up with Ricky for the round. But again, he's still 4 behind on the total, and these guys are going to need to at some point start trying to make up some ground here as we get back to a par 3.
Yeah, I mean, if Rick doesn't stop birdieing, there's really nothing anybody can do about it. But all these guys just need to keep going after it, see how many putts they can knock down, and we'll see. But this hole, OB right, green OB on the left, pretty gettable. I think you might see a forehand from Ricky, I'm not sure, but other guys are just going to go straight at it.
When we saw Nikko take the aggressive play the last round, he's going to try and go with the hyzer route this time. He needs that to get back in.
That
And
might be...
he's safe, but he's going to be behind that bush.
Yeah, those
with a
bushes
tough
I was
look.
talking about on the last hole, they can be really, really difficult to putt around.
As you said, there's Rick with the forehand. Oh,
Wow.
and he taps the basket.
Wow, that's really good. At 380 feet through the wind, an absolute drop-in.
It's a tremendous shot. Paul's going to take gets a bit more height on his there than Nikko did.
Stays safe. The rope is part of the golf course. It is not an OB line.
And the interesting part here, though, is that it seems like Paul is just... The accuracy is a bit off right now. He's a little bit testing those OB lines through our first few holes here today.
Yeah, that wind, I mean, it's tough. We can't really overstate how much that's affecting the play, but Rick is really doing a great job slicing through it.
And Devan just takes the smart layup here. He'll have a tap in 3, and Paul just leaves his a little low. And we got Nikko tossing it up and over from behind that bush. That's just such a hard lie.
Yeah, a nice try, but yeah, that's a really prayer of a shot if that goes in.
Definitely. Well, we saw one earlier in this tournament from Logan Bowers in round 1 pitching out of that bush. Maybe
Yeah.
Nikko needed to take some lessons there.
Yeah, I think Nico's was even tougher because Nikko had to go upside down. Logan at least was able to throw a putt.
Yeah, and Wysocki with another one of those drop-in birdies right there takes a stroke on the card.
Yeah, really amazing shot there. It's a great feeling on a windy day to come up over the hill on a blind basket like that. I'm sure Rick knew his shot was pretty good, but then to see it just parked takes so much stress off of you.
And let's head into hole 8. Yet another par 4 here. This is going to be our 4th par 4 on the day.
Yeah, I'd say this is one of the easiest par 4s on the course. Not a lot of distance, a little bit uphill. Obviously, you see the white flags on the left as an OB, and then along the wood line on the right is also OB. But at 629, I would think all these guys are looking to get 3s here.
Rick just plays it right there for that placement shot.
Yeah, that's a layup play, which is smart.
We've seen him do that throughout this event. He's not that he's playing conservatively, but he's not really taking big chunks. He's just playing smart placement shots.
Yeah, well, I mean, disc golf is a numbers game. So a hole like this, the chances of a 2, minuscule, I would say. And the chances of Rick getting up and down from 200 feet are very, very high.
And Paul just takes the different route, but again, he's safe. You got Devan lining up his backhand shot.
Ooh, that's lifting.
That is definitely sailing a bit. Oh, and he's going to be
I think he's safe.
under that, but he is
he's in a
safe, but he's
tough spot.
very smart to just take the little roller play out into the fairway and give yourself a chance to save a par with another shot there.
Yeah, as thick as that bush is, I really think he has no choice. Wow. Okay. Well,
Rick
Rick's
goes a little
gonna-
deep.
Rick's gonna have to make that putt to prove me right about his layup play.
You think he was playing that a little aggressive there, going that deep? Nice shot there from Nikko. Really
I
clean.
think it probably just floated on him.
It's tough judging this wind.
You would way rather throw long than short in almost all situations like this. When you're on a par 4, there's not a lot of OB up there. In the wind, you just want to snap the shot, If it lifts and floats on you, then just try to make the putt. But you don't want to come out there and fluff it 40 short.
Devan's curls back in toward the pin a little bit. Let's see if Wysocki can convert here. You know, that was an interesting bid there. It just didn't look like his normal stroke. It almost looked like about halfway through he kind of decided to just lay it up.
Yeah, it's tough. I think, you know, a little bit nose down into that headwind is going to drop it really, really quick. The thing that's in your head in a spot like that is like, what if this gets a little nose up and lifts over the basket, and now all of a sudden I'm bringing bogey into play. It's a tough putt to make.
And we saw Paul take a birdie there, and as does Nikko. So they will both gain one on Ricky here, which they need to. That was a big stretch for them right there, being able to take that extra stroke there after hole 8.
Yeah, it always helps. Maybe tighten things up a little bit.
As we finish the front 9 here, we bounce back to a par 3, 430 feet. What do we got on tap here?
One of the harder par 3s for sure. OB in that ditch on the left and also on the path. I think the best play is going to be like a Devan lefty backhand or a hard forehand thrown to the left of all the trees off the tee. There's also a skinny kind of righty hyzer, but it looks like Nico's going to try the turnover.
It looks like it's fading out a bit more, but
It was a pretty good ripping tailwind here, so a turnover is a big ask.
definitely. And there's that forehand that you were talking about. You see Paul lining up right now.
Yeah, flippy destroyer, but with the tailwind, you can count on it. Is that safe?
That's going to be very close. Again, he's just trying to. He's really playing with those lines today.
Yeah, he got a lot of power on that. Rick a little lower, so probably won't test that line quite as much. But
Yeah, his just kind of gets a little sticky there.
yeah, not really in birdie range. I think Devan is going to have a good shot here.
Well, he definitely has the power for this kind of shot. It's
Just left it low. Definitely a hole where I feel Devan has an advantage.
a nice clean up shot there. Nikko gives it a bid. It's just a little short. That's a really long look here.
You got the OB behind the basket as well. Hard to commit to that shot.
Definitely. Paul was safe. Oh, and he tried to run it and went a bit high and is going to leave himself with a little bit of a tester on the way back here.
But he didn't go OB.
And he cleans it up there, snatches that mini a little bit. You can tell he wanted that first one, and he's left a couple high today, gotten away from him on the putts, as he's just not leaving himself quite close enough to the pin on those second shots.
Yeah, tricky hole to birdie. Not too surprised to see a lot of pars here.
After the front 9, we will take a quick break, but you can see here we've got Nikko and Ricky down to -5, Paul at -4, Devan at 1 over on the day. Let's take a quick break.
Always thrown Innova and competed with Innova. I don't think I'd be playing this sport if it wasn't for creating the disc itself and then just taking it to the next level over and over and over again. How great the discs are themselves. It's really gained my trust, and I don't think I would be here without Innova. I don't see myself doing anything else.
We're back for the back 9, but first let's take a look at our trivia question of the day. This PDGA landmark opened in 2007 and houses the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. Submit your answer at discgolf.ultiworld.com/trivia for a chance to get a $25 gift card from Dude Clothing. Nate, you got to know the answer to that one.
I think I got that one.
We may have softballed that one a little bit today, but that's okay. We want everyone to have a good time and have a chance to win a prize. What do we got for hole 10 here?
Hole 10, 402 feet, path OB on the left, sand trap and golf green OB on the right, but not really too much in play. For a righty, big hyzer. For a lefty, pretty tricky hole.
Unfortunately, that happens to the lefties sometimes. Nikko flattened his out a little bit there, but it's
a little short.
Yeah, he's going to have a longer look there with those trees to contend with. Paul unloads.
Pretty decent, a little low. If he had that bit higher and let it trail left.
Yeah, I didn't get much of the tail there. And that's kind of the line that Paul was looking for there.
Yeah, that looks a little bit
And
better.
he gets a little skip, and Rick's going to be
10 feet
pretty
maybe.
well parked.
Yeah. Smart play here from Devan, going forehand.
Hey, you haven't seen him use it too much today, except for on the upshots, but that was a strong forehand there.
He's got a good one. I'm not surprised to see him use it here because of turnover again in this wind, especially with OB coming back.
Nikko may have suffered from the Kansas sticky hand there that you talked about yesterday. It looked like it stuck on there a little
Possible.
bit.
Honestly, it wasn't as bad out there. I think in part thanks
too
to the hairdryer wind. It kind of dries out the hand. So I didn't find the Kansas sticky hand to be quite as prevalent as it was in earlier rounds.
Paul just goes high again, and he's been leaving him a little high today.
Yeah, you'd rather be high than low. Can say that again, but yeah, I mean, we've said it a million times with that wind. That makes it tough. The putting is never easy in Kansas.
So Ricky's going to take the lone birdie, it looks like here. You saw Paul kind of tap the basket there in frustration. You got to wonder if at this point, if you start to press a little bit or if you just have to keep it strong. There's still a lot of golf left. We're only in round 3.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to come out of the game plan. It's just a situation where, he's got to find that rhythm, start making birdies, and then maybe can tighten up the scores a little.
And as we head into hole 11 here, we have another par 4. We've got this nice little, almost canyon-type shot, if you will.
Yeah, kind of through a valley, downhill initially, back up again. OB path. The new addition to this hole is this OB fairway. That area was not OB in the past.
Okay.
Hardest thing about it is any OB on this hole comes back to a drop zone that's nearly 400 feet away from the pin, looking uphill, probably 360, 370, playing very, very far. So even if you go way up there by the pin and go OB, you got to come all the way back.
And Rick's just going to smash his right up the middle there.
Absolutely perfect shot.
Not much better than that. Let's see what Nikko can do. Taking that big run up again.
That's going
Oh, and his is going to roll, and he's in the woods there. Now, that actually is safe, though. That doesn't play as OB.
Safe but difficult. I think he was going for a roller there.
It's definitely an interesting play as Paul goes with the safe shot up the middle.
Perfect.
Now, this one may actually play to the lefty, and as we get the shot tracker here.
Devan can get aggressive here, but he needs to watch out for that OB.
But he absolutely smashes that. Does keep it in.
Perfect.
And that's just such a long shot as we see Nikko come out of the woods here with a little bit of an ante, and he's just pitching out to be safe.
It's his only
nice
option.
play.
Only option there.
McBeth lining up that very, very straight Nova. And he'll be right there for an easy 3.
Textbook birdie.
Nikko's going to be a little bit long, but that's been within his range today, even in the wind. So it looks like we're going to get both 3s from both Paul and Ricky.
Devan's looking to join him, I would think.
Yes, sir. That was just an absolute smash. What would you estimate the distance was that Owens threw that? I know you have the...
Yeah, I'd say he probably threw that 430, somewhere in there. But again, if his disc goes another 5 feet, he's 300 feet behind him at a drop zone.
Well, with the way his round has been going, I'm wondering if he is starting to decide to play a little more aggressively, try and make up some of these strokes, because he has lost a couple to the rest of these guys. He takes one there. Nikko's going to be the only par there. Everyone else takes birdies. As you see, though, Devan's even on the round. Everyone else is way down, so maybe he's going to have to start picking it up a notch and testing it a little more.
Absolutely. If he wants to hold his lead card position, he needs a really strong finish.
So hole 12, par 3, 364 feet. Looks relatively straightforward. Is there anything tricky with this one?
It's one of the OB is very close to the basket on the right, so it's one of the tighter greens on the course, but nothing too tricky. It's just kind of a straight shot. You have the option of a forehand, but I think most of these guys are just going to go a straight backhand, try to get a little bit of turn.
And it looks like Rick might be throwing a mid there. and it just turns into the tree a little bit.
Yeah, that's a lot of discs will hit those trees, and you have a makeable putt, you know, maybe a 40-footer, so it's not the worst thing.
Paul just threw a
similar.
driver, so perhaps Ricky wasn't throwing his mid there. It did look like one of his compasses, but it may not have been.
I wouldn't be shocked to hear that he threw a mid on this hole.
Devan's going with that big hyzer route. And it
Oh, nice.
sneaks in there. It looked like it was going to get caught in those trees a little bit, but it took a nice little bounce toward the pin. Nikko looking to get back on track after taking the only par there on the last hole.
He'll have a putt, but it won't be close.
And he just puts that over the top a little too much. He was definitely running that one.
A nice bid.
Let's see if Paul can convert for the 2 here.
Nice.
And he does. Leaves that one right where he wants to. Rattles around in the cage a little bit.
So, yeah, so Paul's drive was a little closer than I expected, and since we haven't seen Rick yet, his as well was a fighter. Got right through those trees. So
Rick answers with a birdie of his own. Devan, very nicely, also checking in for a birdie there.
yeah, I like that big hyzer play. If you have the power, very safe play.
Oh, and Nikko just goes too low off the cage there. Really needed to capitalize there.
Yeah, that's certainly not going to be happy about that. A little bit of a tough lapse in focus maybe.
Looks like he's going to take a little second to think about it.
Yeah, can't blame him.
He loses 2 there. But it's actually not the end of the world there for him. There's still a lot of golf left today.
Definitely, he has a solid round going.
As we check into hole 13, what do we have going on here?
Tons of OB, kind of a theme. You're teeing from the path. Everything right of the path is OB. The hard part about these next few holes is this is almost always a raging headwind, so it's hard. You really got to throw an overstable disc and trust that it can hyzer through the wind and get back. The other problem is if you play too safe, you go OB left.
And if I recall correctly, this is the hole during the final round of the GBO that Cam Todd landed on the path, had to go back and re-tee. Looked like it put him into a little difficulty. Rick having very little difficulty there.
Yeah, that was a nice shot. You can see, look at that flag. You can see the kind of the wind conditions these guys are battling against.
And Paul's going to hang that out there.
Trust in a very overstable destroyer.
Gives me just a little deep, but that's not a bad place.
That's a really, really good shot. So Devan needs to watch out for a skip.
Oh, and that tree helps him out a little bit.
Friendly tree for sure. His skip was pretty slow, so I think he would have stayed in bounds, but still that tree kept him even a little closer.
Nikko lining up the overstable driver shot as well. He's going to be right around where Rick is.
Great shots.
And Devan was a little further out. Again with that little smooth upshot there, so he'll have a nice chance for a par. And Nikko just misses to the right there.
Looks like they got a nice little lull in the wind, judging by that flag, so that's fortunate.
Rick lofts it up and bang!
Take advantage of it.
Another birdie. That is now 4 straight birdies for Ricky. He's getting on a little bit of a streak here.
I think he's been on one big streak this whole tournament so far. He's really, really playing great.
Does only have 1 bogey for the tournament, and Paul answers though. That's actually 3 in a row for him. So for the last few holes, these guys have gone toe to toe. Not much separation there, but Ricky's not too worried about separation at this point. Paul's the one who really needs to start trying to take back a couple of those strokes where he can.
Yeah, nice to see them string some birdies together. That's what all the fans want to see. Some guys battling and really playing great golf.
So we see, like we said, McBeth and Wysocki taking the 2 birdies there, and Nikko and Devan will take their pars. Wysocki's now 9 down on the day. Not to be outdone, McBeth's at -7, so he's still hanging there, but there's still just adding to that lead is what Ricky's doing, and we've got a 766-footer here.
Yeah, and it's almost certainly into a very strong wind. You have not much OB, the property line on the right, the path on the left, and then once you get up to the pin, this little rock wall and golf green are OB. The basket is pretty well protected behind this big old tree. So it's a great 3 if you can get it.
Yeah, definitely with that little bit of an uphill there, it definitely tends to play a little bit longer on that second look there. Rick's got a nice safe shot there. You think he'll have a look through the trees there? Is that pretty open in that landing zone?
Yeah, I think he'll have a chance to go for the green.
Paul goes the other way around. Gets a little bit of a skip there at the end. A little bit of extra distance. Always will take that on this long of a hole.
Devan with the wider line, a little safer. But he can afford it because he's got, as a lefty, he's got a ton of power on that line.
Definitely, definitely. You can see the wind is really kicking up here. Like you said, this is a very windy hole.
This is a super aggressive play in this wind to go roller.
And it's still rolling.
That is, no, it needs to sit. But it did.
And it stays in. That was pretty fortunate for Nikko to not get that roller going OB there.
Rick will have a 55 footer from there.
Devan lining up some power again here.
Needs to hyzer.
Oh, and he's out of bounds.
Yeah, just floated on him.
That's hard with the wind the way it's been all day. I know we've talked about it a ton. Don't mean to belabor it, but the conditions they're really ramping up out here.
Nikko kept it a little too low, trying to stay under the wind. Paul with the big drive.
Gets hung up in the trees there.
That was probably tracking the pin pretty well, but
Yeah, he's gonna be, what's that, about 70 out?
yeah, I would say so.
Devan coming back in from the out of bounds. I will say this for Devan on the day, those approach shots have been nice and smooth for him. Nice little easy release. He's had a little trouble off the tee sometimes, but he has at least recovered okay to get back close to the pin.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ricky looked like he was running that one.
He had the height.
And Nikko will take his par there. He looks a little frustrated.
Yeah. A birdie will cure that.
I think he wanted to get a little bit closer on that second shot. And Rick will also take a par. We saw Devan cleaning up there. That's going to be a bogey for him with the OB. Everyone getting a little salty here, swiping at their minis and looking upset. Is it the fatigue, the heat, the everything?
It's the world's, baby. I think they just all want it really bad.
They're all getting fired up, and Ricky and Paul still sticking with each other. Nikko doesn't lose anything there. Devan takes that bogey, and he's still at even for the day as we head into hole 15, 426 footer.
Island green, but it's a big island. You just have to make sure you land in between these paths and to the left of those flags. A big hyzer around everything is a good play. A straight flat shot up the middle works, and Devan may have kind of a lefty hyzer line.
I like being able to talk about some different shots here. It's nice to have a different, an opposite-handed thrower, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the big hyzer play. He's going to look for a little bit of a skip.
Doesn't get as much as he wanted there. He's going to be looking...
He's edge of the circle.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to reach the hole. Might do more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great shot. Does get a bit of a roll away there. You want that one to stick a little harder, but that's a really solid drive there.
Yeah. Pretty likely to take a little skip and hop coming in that fast.
Nikko's is a little flatter. He may not get that skip. No, he still does get that skip.
He's in bounds. That'll be a putt. 40-footer maybe. So
And
Devan's playing the straight shot.
Going with that straight shot up the middle. Gets a little air bounce.
Just needs to sit. And it does.
And it does. Very nice. Nikko gives it a jump, and bang! Hits it for the birdie. That's a really nice putt from Nikko
Yeah,
there.
that was clean. Not much wobble on that. He got it right through.
You saw him get a little upset after the last hole, carding that par. That's a really nice recovery. Oh, and Devan cannot convert, just a little short.
Really good bid.
Ricky, also with the bird, and that just kind of seems to be a theme for him.
Yeah, you know, that kind of putt from Rick, that's not much of a surprise.
And it looks like Paul might be facing a little bit of a headwind here. And he just jams it in there with some authority. Very nicely done.
Great putt.
So we've got 3 birdies there. Devan just couldn't convert on that one. He's going to take the par.
Just an inch away from birdie for Devan.
We're getting to the home stretch of this round today. And Ricky is now into double digits under par for the 3rd consecutive day here at Worlds. And he is stringing together quite the tournament so far.
Absolutely.
Hole 16 is the island hole.
Probably one of the signature holes. This is not for the faint of heart. This one is 365 feet. You have that layup zone to the right if you want it. Anything that goes OB goes to a drop zone right at the tip of that land on the right. If you're going for the green, it's not a big one. You got to stick it on there. It's a really flat green. You just got to kind of get your disc to stop on the spot.
Now, I heard someone in this room yesterday ran this shot to the island.
Yeah, I might have had about a 3-footer. Don't want to toot my own horn, but
Beep, beep.
easy little birdie.
Now, you saw Rick take the layup shot. And it looks like Paul's going to do the same thing here. Is that just the conditions there, or they just...
Well, not everybody's as aggressive as me. But yeah, these guys, they're playing smart.
And Nico's going to take the backhand route, go into that similar open area, and he'll land safely. He's a little further out. Might take a long shot.
Devan's going for it.
Devan's going to dial up the Nate Sexton aggression here with the shot tracker.
It looks pretty good.
Oh, a little short. Gets the skip, and he's going to be
isn't he?
safe.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Very, very nice shot there to not go for a swim. Nico with the nice clean up shot there. And this still takes some pretty good touch here coming back to this island as you see Rick lining that up with a smooth forehand from the knee.
Yeah, I find this upshot is definitely a shot that these guys should make, but it's tricky enough that's kind of plays into my decision to just go for the hole and take my 4 if I get it from that drop zone.
Devan just a little low, couldn't take one back there. Nico takes his 3. So it looks like everyone's going to be pretty safe for pars here. Would have been fun to see that aggressive play pay off for Devan there.
Almost had it. Just need to get that putt up a little bit, and he's going to have a couple more birdies on his hands.
Nonetheless, it was still entertaining to have someone run in a little bit. Gave it a little bit more drama there.
Absolutely.
So pars all around on hole 16. We've got 2 more to play, and hole 17 that we're going to get into there as we take a look at the UDisc scorecard. No real movement after that hole, but hole 17 coming up is quite the difficult shot with a par 5, the lone par 5 on the course.
Oh, the only par 5 in the worlds for us this year, and it's a monster. You have a kind of a low ceiling drive, a Mando forcing you right, so you go up the middle here. You can't go into that OB area or cut the corner on the left. So you've got to go a good 500 feet straight before you can kind of start making that turn. So no one's going to get around the corner on the first shot. You get up there, then you play a big hyzer over that birdhouse that we just saw. And then these willows are very tough because the branches hang really low. You can find some really difficult putts in there. So this is a kind of a rarely seen line, but it's a good play.
Yeah, he'll be safe.
It's a power player throw for sure. And with this wind, I think maybe these guys are going to go after it.
Paul taking a big run up there.
Yeah, they're kind of taking advantage of the conditions.
Gets around those trees. Drops down, he'll be safe.
Yeah, those are great lies.
And Nico all the way back. Another big run up.
So yeah, I think this is about the wind more, because I think these guys in practice or in less windy conditions would almost certainly go up the middle. But with that wind and as big of arms as these guys have, it's a pretty safe play to just put it up there, let the wind get under it. Devan doesn't have that option, so he's going to throw up the
And
middle.
that's tracking a bit.
Oh, no.
And he's going to miss the Mando and be OB.
Oh, no. Yeah, so
So
now
he'll
he's
have to go to a drop zone.
from the drop. And that needs to hyzer, because there is OB deep.
It is, but you're right. He hits the OB deep. So that's 2 OBs in a row for Devan. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a nightmare start to this hole for him.
And look at Nikko lining up the big crush over the sunshine.
Oh, wow.
And that's a massive shot. He's going to have a look.
Eagle putt.
He's going to have an eagle look.
These guys might get up there, too, as far as their drives went.
Ricky's going to leave himself a little further out.
Still
He's going to need to
qualifies
run
as
it for the eagle look, though.
as an eagle putt, I'd say. Paul, that's kind of tight. Hopefully it clears.
Oh, and he goes out of bounds.
At least he crossed, so he's up there. So easy par, but not what you want after that great drive.
Yeah, and losing a shot this late in the round.
Maybe 2 with the way those guys.
That's
those
true.
Guys
That's
have
true.
eagle.
We do have those looks.
So here's those willows we're talking about.
Yeah, he has to go with the little Annie approach over it and land safely. Let's see what Rick can do here. Just didn't get enough on it. Nikko was ready to jam up there.
Yeah, you know Nikko wants this one.
He wants it. He's ready. We'll see what he can do. He's had the putter going lately for eagle. Drains it.
Very nice, Nikko. That's a amazing play there to take an eagle through all the wind.
One of a couple eagles on the day on this hole. We also heard Drew Gibson eagled this hole.
Yeah, I think maybe Paul Ulibarri as well.
That's right. We did have a couple there. So long hole, not necessarily the playing as the most difficult, but still a very impressive to eagle a hole like this.
Yeah. It's rare for a par 5 to be the most difficult hole statistically, just because you do get so many opportunities to make something happen on a par 5.
I believe we've had eagles each round through this tournament that we've gotten to see, so that's a treat.
Yeah, that's what the best in the world do.
So Nikko is actually able to take 1 on Ricky, and 2 on Paul there as we head into hole 18.
And Devan with that rough 7, tough to swallow.
Yeah, tough round for him today on the hole.
18 is maybe the toughest hole on the course, one of them for sure, because at 858, I mean, it plays super long, uphill, over water, and only being in a par 4. So you got to make that water clearance just to get in play, avoid going to the drop zone, and then you've got a pretty well-guarded green. The wood line on the right's OB. You got to make something happen, get up over those trees, and then down onto that side hill, avoid any kind of roll away.
Yeah, you can see the pitch there. That's going to be a little tougher on the approach.
That's a huge drive.
Wow. Nikko matched that one.
That's pushing 500 feet, I would think. That's a really good rip.
And Rick says, "Yeah, I can do that too. I'll get right up there with you,
Just
Nikko."
Go ahead and try to hit your disc.
Almost. Those are 2 tremendous pulls right there. Let's see if Paul can do the same. This is a little lower, may not have quite as much distance as those guys. So it'll be a little shorter, but still, those are all 3.
Really, really far.
Devan's track's a little bit left. He's a little shorter, but still,
Yeah,
everyone's
he cleared
safe.
You have to clear that path, actually. It's not even just the water. You have to make it all the way over that path to be in bounds.
Essentially, you have just two drives here. Drive.
Yeah.
That's hard at this
Yeah,
part of the day. Hole 18. It's hot. It's windy.
I would say from where Devan just was, the hole is borderline unreachable from there because it's so uphill.
Paul's gonna try and prove you wrong.
Well, from where Paul is, it's possible.
That's
but
true. He was a little closer.
But
It
he
looked like
needed
he
more,
hung up in that tree there.
He needed more turnover. That stayed too much hyzer. Rick with a little lower line. That looks like it's got the juice.
Wow, he's
Yeah,
parked.
that is very rare to see someone that close. Usually a birdie on this hole is going to come in the form of a 40-footer.
Well, Ricky and Nikko went toe-to-toe on the first drive. Let's see what happens on the second drive.
Oh.
Nikko goes even a little long.
Nikko saw that line and nailed it. So this is fine for Devan. You're not losing a stroke hardly to anybody with a tap-in 4 here.
Paul might have to give this one a run.
I know he will. He'll try.
Oh!
Oh! Wow. Just couldn't quite get any
That
of
would
those
have been a
big
nice
ones
way to
draw.
close out. Nikko finishing strong with
Finishing-
an eagle birdie combo.
Finishing 3-3 on those 2 holes is superhuman. Most
And
people
Rick
could
with
try
his
their
tap-in.
most people could try their whole lives.
Ricky Wysocki with that tap in, I believe, just set an Emporia Country Club course record at 12 under.
And he made it look easy too. He just smoothed it out. I felt like.
Yeah, nothing too flashy, nothing big, nothing crazy. He just got it done, and he's now looking at. Are we at 8 and 9 over the
8
next
strokes
2 on the
over
field?
Nikko. Yeah.
And here's the big difference today. Look at those green hits for Wysocki. Really just left himself with a lot better looks for those putts.
Yeah, when you go 61% green hits and 100% inside circle putting, that's a lot of birdies.
Huge day for Ricky as we head into another round tomorrow at the Emporia Country Club. We'll see what's in store. Some of these guys may have to start pushing it a little more. And, hey, it looks like somebody made it onto the league card for tomorrow.
Yeah, better look out. I think I'm going to change up my commentary style because I really like one of those guys.
He's all right. We'll keep him around. That was a great round. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And we'll see you all back here tomorrow at Jomez Productions. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. We will see you next time. I'm Steve Hill. That's Nate Sexton. We'll be back tomorrow from Emporia, Kansas.